What's going on, guys? I'm Jaye the Black. I want to talk about Halle Berry. I believe I've talking about her a few times. Well, maybe once or twice recently. I talked about the situation where she was called out by a guy for not being able to keep a man. She actually responded to that guy, right? Also, a situation of how she was raising her son, right? But in this particular video, Halle Berry had an interesting response to someone, and this is via the Instagram page Baby Mata Drama, and they screen captioned her response on an Instagram, I guess, thread. I don't know if it was on her page or somebody else's page, and she went off about how she's tired of paying child support and how it is the child support laws are outdated. And by looking at this, you would think that this was somebody that understood what men have been going through for years. The things that men have had to deal with. They've had to deal with women trying to get them locked up when they don't pay. They've had to deal with women pinning kids on that ain't there just so they can get child support. They've had to deal with custody situations where you have women that don't even want to get their kids to the father. Men have been dealing with this for a long time. But because she's been doing this, in her own words, for a decade, she's tired of it, and there needs to be some change. Now, this is what she had to say. I'm not going to speak on alimony as I have never asked for it, nor have I ever paid it. However, as for child support, I feel I can speak on it as I've been paying it for a decade now. I feel if a woman or a man is having to pay support that is way more than reasonable needs to help support the child, I think that is wrong. I understand some parents, man or woman, may need help, but I also feel that in these modern times, both men and women have the responsibility to financially take care of their children and work hard and make every effort to do so. The way many laws are set up, people are allowed to use children in order to be awarded money to live a lifestyle that is not only did they not earn, but that is way above and beyond the child's reasonable needs. And that is the wrong and where I see the abuse. The laws are outdated and no longer reflect the modern world. This is just my opinion. I clearly don't own the truth. I can say I'm living it every day and can tell you it's hard. I do totally understand the feelings of those men who feel they are and have been taken advantage of by the system. You've got to listen and see for yourself what she had to say. She had this long response, which lets you know that she has to think about this every day. Well, Halle Berry, like if you look at the comment section of the Instagram post, right? There's a lot of guys basically welcoming Halle Berry to the club, because there's a lot of guys out here who have to pay child support, and if they don't, they're called deadbeat dads. So if Halle Berry doesn't want to pay child support, is she a deadbeat mother? Those are some things that we have to discuss. It's amazing to me how now you're starting to see the shift in women's attitudes towards child support once they have to deal with it. Once they either are getting the money taken out of their account every month, or they have to go and pay it themselves every month, right? This reminds me of some years back. There was a video of women doing an interview, and there was this group of women who were married to men who had to pay, I believe, either alimony or child support. I believe it might have been alimony, right? To their ex-wives. And these women didn't like that. So they banded together and started an organization basically trying to get to where men didn't have to pay their ex-wives alimony anymore, which is crazy. I mean, if that's in their divorce decree, there's really nothing that guy can do if he signed off on it. But if he's not bringing home the amount of money that the new wife wants, now all of a sudden she wants to start organizations. Too little too late, because for years we've had to see women shame men, tell men if you ain't paying child support, you a deadbeat. We've seen single mother after single mother complain about not getting enough child support, being allowed to go to court and basically try to force them to lock the man up if they don't get their money, right? Because she's taking care of another man. That's why she wants that money badly, right? Even though I agree there needs to be some type of reform, but if people keep voting the same way they're voting, there's never going to be no reform. This is the kind of thing that all of us need to come together and reform, because it helps nobody. If you're locking men up for not paying child support, you're not going to get the money anyway. If a man goes to jail because he can't pay child support, that lets you know he ain't got it, and he ain't gonna have it while he locked up either. And now you have women who are affected by child support. Now all of a sudden Halle Berry has to pay this guy who she chose to have a child with. Y'all got to understand this. Halle Berry decided to have a child with a broke model just because of how he looked. And she's not going to say this, but I'm going to say it. She wanted a child that was non-melanated. And what's funny was that, this guy didn't have the finances. You should have known, if you have a child with this guy, he may end up putting you on child support. Like with Kevin Federline and Britney Spears, but she didn't care. She wanted the child that she wanted by this guy. And then when they break up, she got to pay him child support. And what's funny is that she's made all these claims about this guy. They might be true, but you still laid up and had a kid with him. Once the kid was born, y'all still had a relationship with each other. I will never understand why there are women out here having relations unprotected and having children with men who don't have the money and the resources to help you raise children. I will never understand that. That lets me know that you're thinking about the wrong things. You're so distracted by how a guy looks and what your kids by him will look like, instead of you actually focusing on the fact that you need to have children with a man that actually won't put you on child support. That was her mistake. Her mistake was getting into a relationship with somebody who financially was nowhere near where she was at the time when they got together, but she wasn't caring about that. She just wanted her non-melanated baby. That's what she wanted. And I know some of you are going to say, well, that's not true, Jay. Okay, how do you explain her getting with this guy, because he's a European model who was not making nowhere near the money she was making. And she had been with successful men throughout her career. Why would you go and wait until you with somebody that don't have the finances to help you raise that child, to not come after you for child support? Why would you do that? Other than you were thinking about the wrong things. And now 10 years later, you're complaining about child support. And what's funny is that 10 years ago, Halle Berry would have been making fun of any man that was complaining about child support. Even though at the end of the day, it is up to men to guard their seed and to be careful of impregnating women they don't see a future with, right? That you don't want to be with like that. It's up to men to do that. But in this situation, Halle Berry could have chosen to have children by a guy who was way more successful, had way more money. but she wasn't thinking about that. And I know some of you are going to disagree and say that I'm wrong for saying that's not why she had a baby by a broke model. But why would you have a kid by a guy that you weren't married to, that you were just dating? But now you're complaining about child support. This doesn't make sense to me. Was it just a casual situation that went longer than it should have? Probably. But that's up to you to choose better, right? And now she's complaining about it. She wants change. She feels like this child support system is outdated. Well, Halle Berry, welcome to the club. Okay, there's a lot of guys out here who you should sit down and talk to, or maybe you can be the spokesperson for an organization of dads who are dealing with child support issues. Halle, you could do that. You can be somebody who could be the female face of an organization for parents who are against paying child support. That it needs to be restructured. But Halle is not going to do that. Halle is venting because she knows she's not making the same amount of money she used to, especially with this CV situation. And them payments is weighing more and more on her pocketbook, and she don't like it. Well, let me tell you something, Halle. There's a lot of men every day who have to deal with this. There's a lot of guys who are in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of guys who are athletes who have to deal with this every day, even after their careers. You got women coming after them for a lot of money in regards to child support. Future had a kid with a chick that I believe was trying to get $40,000 a month, I believe, for one child. You got these women trying to milk these guys for tons of money just because they had one child with them. And Halle is still taking care of a guy who she claimed didn't like melanated people. This is according to her. Who will make comments about her, call her names, be disrespectful to her. This is what she said. She had, and out of all the men she was with, she chose to have a kid with this guy who she is sponsoring and funding the lifestyle of. So I would say, Halle, join the club, the rest of these guys who have to deal with this. But I just find it very interesting that because she's going through this, now she wants change.